Hey there, and welcome to Temporary Locals.
I'm Jared.
And I'm Megan. This week, our guest is going to be taking us to Guatemala. But before we get into that, if this is your first time coming to Temporary Locals, welcome. We are so glad to have you. Jared and I are a travel-loving couple who somehow always end up feeling like locals wherever we go. From small towns to some of the world's most iconic wonders, we share our stories, hidden gems, and occasional history or true crime that shape the places that we've actually been. Or we have guests on to talk about places that they've actually been. So if you're into travel, storytelling, and a little bit of mystery, then you're in the right place. And we would love it if you would subscribe and join us for the ride. And as always, we appreciate any other methods of free support, such as sharing the episode, liking, commenting, leaving a review, any form of engagement. We truly appreciate it. And without further ado, let's get into our episode. Today's guest is Hostel Bob, aka Bobby Flaco, and he is a pro wrestler and travel vlogger. He's been all over Central and South America, but today we're going to focus on 2 trips that he took to Guatemala. So with that, let's get into the episode. You can pull like a Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I've noticed other people with podcasts, they'll just like start the podcast and they're already talking. And I've always thought like, that's kind of weird. But then I'm like, no, it makes sense because it's like, how do you start a podcast other than that way? Like, it's kind of awkward, right?
Yeah, other than just being like really formal.
Yeah, thanks for coming on and yeah.
Right. Yeah, I kind of like the starting on just kind of wherever you're talking, whatever the conversation is being had. And then, that if that comes to an end, then you can do your little, you can start there,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. We've been talking about getting together and kind of having a conversation for a while now. I really like all your content. I like your YouTube channel. It's refreshing. I think a lot of like travel vloggers nowadays are very like, a lot of it's very overproduced and over edited and like, drone shots. And I mean, all that stuff's really cool, but I really like the like first person real experience type vlogs. And so I really like your content a lot.
Dude, thank you, man. I appreciate that. That's kind of something I'm going for, like experiences that kind of could happen to you in like a first person kind of like way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not too over edited. I've had a lot of like going back and forth and like the pros and cons of like how much editing and like extra stuff to put into videos is like really worth it, because like there's nobody checking that. There's no algorithm for that. You know what I mean? There's no algorithm for fucking hours of hard work. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, you can't just be super lazy, but you know what I mean? No, at the end of the day, nobody really sees it or understands. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate, but yeah, even with the things like so like even something like a music video, like back in the day when it was hard to get fucking signal, like you would watch the Vivo MTV music video on your phone. If you wanted to hear it quickly, you would watch the lyric video or the blank page video with the song playing, because that would load quickly and you could put it on quickly at your party or whatever, you know what I mean? Because it's less bullshit. That's it. It even goes as deep as like, what does the TV gotta load whenever you put your YouTube videos on the TV? I remember when I first started, my GoPro videos would have music in the background and, subtitles throughout the whole thing, and like made on a laptop and like yada yada. And then when you pull that up on an Airbnb YouTube that doesn't have the best Wi-Fi, it comes up in like little shitty blocks, because it's more stuff for that video to download. With the whatever low quality editor I was using on my laptop, now it's converted into like some shitty Wi-Fi and like, wherever you're at. So I think about stuff like that too. Everything might make the process smooth and easy. I try not to get too lazy with my shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll appreciate that, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's, yeah, I really enjoy it, and I like that kind of content. That's just me personally, I just feel like so many travel vlogs now, it's like you type in a place or whatever, and it's like, and they're amazing videos, don't get me wrong, but they're all just kind of the same,
And to be fair, I do watch those videos when I go somewhere.
Yeah.
Or to learn up a little bit.
Yeah, I do too. Yep.
That works. That don't get me wrong. But yeah, I think Baldwin Bankrupt is the absolute goat at everything. So that's what I'm trying to looking at that as well. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? His are real simple.
Right.
His videos are real simple.
Yeah, so we wanted to have you on and kind of have you talk about some of your experiences and adventures in Guatemala. It's a place that we've wanted to visit before. There's a lot of really cool history there and like mine sites and stuff. And it was on our list at one point. We have yet to get there, but we kind of wanted to have you on to kind of talk about that.
Very cool, man. Guatemala is an awesome place. I'll go through both trips and kind of try to combine the two ways we talked about. Maybe do it chronologically, but try to get to the big places that the big areas that I want to go because we're able to go to a lot of places. That's what I love about Guatemala. It is like it's just small enough. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You can and really Antigua, Guatemala is the kind of tourist base of it, and you can go from there to any of these like other places. But my original trip to Guatemala, um, I just fucking was looking on, Spirit or Kayak, all the travel apps, trying to find what a cheap flight would be, and Guatemala was one of them. I got to Guatemala City from Atlanta like 250 or something like that, like a
Wow.
7 or 8 day trip,
Yeah.
round trip price. So that was pretty cool. And I was just like, do the hostel thing, maybe get some Airbnbs, figure it out. But I did have a friend who I worked with at a waiter job. She she worked on the cleaning staff, and she has family in Guatemala, in a city called Amatitlan, which is not a place a lot of tourists go. Amatitlan, Guatemala is like it was pretty dangerous. Like even during the daytime, the people I was staying with uh made me be accompanied like to the store like across the street. And I've never had that anywhere else that I've ever been, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little boy that went with me, you know what I mean? The little boy, I say little boy, like 10 or 12, 13-year-old boy. That's a fucking man in that side of the world. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Right.
When you say dangerous, is it because of like cartel activity or
Just crime related stuff. I don't know how much of the actual cartel stuff happens in Guatemala, because it's on the way, but I don't know how much work happens there, and it's not the border with the U.S., so it's probably rough in the border areas and like whatever all cartels do is protect highways, so whatever that one road is probably rough,
Mm-hmm.
but I've never come across that, and that has not trickled into everyday life in a way that it does in Mexico also.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just delinquency. Like there's just certain areas that are poor and like police corruption, and like Guatemala is a distinct place to me because it felt like the crime thing was like a yes or like a no like thing. It felt like it was like forgive my this canceled approach, like China safe, or like you don't go out type of unsafe,
Right.
depending on what city, depending on how big the tourism industry was, if I'm being quite frank, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Depending on sometimes you're just so far out, like it's hard to get that kind of help, like so Amatitlan just was a place that felt like you needed to be accompanied for sure, which seldom happens to me in Guatemala or in Latin America
Right.
or Mexico.
So
That's
you,
craziest thing. Yeah.
so you didn't experience any of that in Guatemala City?
Oh, dude, no. I was by myself in Guatemala City, but Guatemala City is definitely not a place I would go out at night. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I wouldn't go out at night there. It's not a place I would consider safe. One of the thumbs down areas.
Yeah.
Guatemala City. I did wrestle there. Yeah, might get that far in the story, but I did wrestle there in Guatemala City,
Mm-hmm.
and like I walked to the arena, but like during the daytime, But no, Guatemala City was also an intense place too. But I was able to get a nice little tour around the area, and it is beautiful. Like most of Guatemala is just beautiful. Like I've always said Guatemala would be a rainforest if it wasn't for all the mountains, which that combination makes things beautiful. It's a semi-tropical area, and when it gets to the bottom, like place I ended up going like Livingston, like it is basically a tropical area in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of love that about Guatemala. Atitlan was at the bottom of a mountain because you look out the window at the house, and it had a weird, semi-shitty, symbolic feeling because, you know, how all them Latin American bar doors are, you know. We would just be chilling with the bar doors open just in case something happens, let the air in, but you can't let actual people in. But there was a beautiful mountain view right outside of the window right there. uh Old school, man. I mean, people walk in their goats and oxes and cows and stuff like that, like an old school place, lots of really good mountain views. And man, that was I was thrown right into one of the most legit, as far as local experiences are, that I mean that I've had for sure, because of like how local and dangerous that area was. Like the experiences I'll tell about, just I'd had with those people that let me stay in their house. I stayed with like this girl's sister, the waitress lady, her sister, and her grandma and her mom, I guess, and her family, all in this like decent sized little house or whatever, in Guatemala, in Amatitlán, the city I'm talking about. It was a family. There was a little boy and a little girl, and a little bit older girl. I can't remember if she lived there or she was one of the cousins. There was definitely two kids that kind of accompanied me there like the whole time. That apart from the 10 or 12 years, so there was three. There was a 10 or 12-year-old guy that took me around too. And man, was it like legit? Like you, I don't know if you've ever experienced one of them floors where it's just everything's kind of wet. I mean, you got to hang your clothes up somewhere, so there's a concrete floor like everywhere. The laundry's kind of getting done there, so there's water splash kind of everywhere. One of them floors where it's got the drains in it, you know.
Yep.
We're eating just whatever meat they can buy from the corner market and some lettuce and tomatoes. I mean, it was an awesome like little experience. I felt, you know, there was 3 or 4 people sleeping on a big mattress in the living room, and they were nice enough to give me like a little bedroom and like really make me feel comfortable. Like a tin shack roof, like you could hear the rain like super loud, like.
Oh, nice. ASMR.
Yeah, it was awesome.
How did you meet them?
They were the family of my friend from the restaurant, and they let me. She said that I could stay with them for however many days in their little town of Amatitlán.
So did they pick you up from the airport or something, or how'd you get there?
So yes, they met me at the airport, and then we got in a taxi from there. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Her and like a family of 4, like with a little. They didn't have a sheet of paper, but they were like waving and stuff, looking for me at the airport. That was really cool. They took the time out of their day to take God knows how many taxis up to get there, you know. So that was like super duper cool of them, for sure. I mean, I got to go to, experiencing that little town was just cool. Like I said, the animals just like walk around everywhere. If I'd have stayed one more day, she was gonna say I could go pick out my own chicken and then we could cook it and turn it into soups and like whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Yeah, we went and like picked up the daughter from school, and that was interesting. Like seeing like how that stuff runs there. Like they don't fuck around. Like nobody's getting in there unless you're certified, and like everybody checks the name off when they pick their kid up, and it's like safe in that manner. It's safe because it's unsafe, but it works.
Right.
Yeah, we spent a couple of days kind of. We went to this. Oh man, we fucking were supposed to go to the volcano, one of the close by volcanoes, and we basically did. We got to the parking lot part of like the volcano, but we just ended up taking so many buses and we ended up taking one bus the wrong way. I think like those Guatemalan chicken buses, like the ones that are just like school buses turned into like packed tight. Like, well, I got to ride one of those real authentic local buses. That was like pretty cool with like this lady. She would tell me when I could record and when I could not, which most times was I could not record.
Yeah.
Did they tell you why?
Did they tell me what? I'm sorry?
Why? Why you can't record?
Oh, because people will snag your phone.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Just certain bus routes. Yeah, it was they decorated the school buses with a bunch of like a lot of it was like Catholic stuff, colorful on the outside. It was where the people would come on and try to sell you stuff. They would like, you'd walk by and put the stuff in your hand. And you're like, damn, I don't really know if I want to buy this. But like, what they do is they come back and they either take it back or you buy it. You know what I mean? You gotta keep it in your hand, like open like that, so they can take it back. But that's pretty tempting. You know, you got this chocolate bar in your hand. You're like, I guess I'll buy it for 7 quetzales or whatever it was, the quetzales. I mean, Guatemala is authentic, like off rip. You know what I mean? You get to, even if you're not getting in those chicken buses, like Guatemala just has those type of experiences all over, you know?
Right.
But yeah, we stayed there for a couple of days, and I told her I was thinking about going to Antigua, the sister of the friend. And she was like, I'll take you. And I was like, really? Which was really super duper nice of her too, because then she had to get back from Antigua, you know what I mean? Basically the same day. So I got to take the local route to Antigua too, which I think was like, first we piled her and I got onto a motorcycle. And that took us to another motorcycle. So one motorcycle to another motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got, and this is from Atitlan to Antigua, which is the tourist center of Guatemala. That's a thumbs up. Anyway, second motorcycle. Then we get to like one bus, and I think that one bus took us kind of directly to Antigua. And yeah, Guatemala can be sketchy, but it's also interesting because I could say this in multiple occasions, like the taxi system, like those people, man, like they're nice and they're not so jaded compared to Mexico. The fucking cartels got control of taxis in Mexico, but they're not so jaded by you being an American. Like they want to help you. Like I've had a lot of like super sketchy hour situations where taxis have been like the affordable way to get me directly anywhere I'm going in the country. Literally, like they'll be like, "Oh, you go here, pop on the boom, 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 boom," like hop on the bus. Like they've always been super cool in that way. You can trust. I say that somebody watch this shit and they'll get fucking robbed.
Yeah.
By the taxi by. But I've had good experiences with them. Anyways, second motorbike, we get on the one chicken bus, takes us to Antigua, Guatemala, which is it's just a beautiful spot. I think the big famous thing people go there for is like the famous video we've all seen of Guatemala where you're camping, but the volcano's just exploding right there next to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess they know how much it does or doesn't come out and it's safe or whatever. I've never actually done that. I'm a pretty simple guy. I think I will do that one of these days, but I've been there 2 or 3 times and haven't yet. But Antigua, Guatemala is just awesome, man. It's a good smooth landing for an easy travel place. You know what I mean? Getting out of that Guatemala airport might be hectic, but if you if you take the easy route, take the Guatemala, get it to the Guatemala City Airport, like a nice van or like a nice guy with the sign, have him take you to Antigua. It's a good, easy, smooth landing, and you're into if you're into just mountain views and like real warm, local, authentic people and like good food and like safe and like people are just happy around you, man. It's like a good place. I've always felt like people in Antigua were like grateful. You know, like I think sometimes the tourist thing happens, right? You know, and like that's one of them cities, you know. Not only does all that exist, like, you know, there's expat bars all day. I did the expat bar thing there, you know. Shitty pizza and beer ruined my stomach for my flight home. But like there's just everything. The people aren't jaded in Antigua, and they are in some places throughout the tourist spots of like Latin America, you know.
Right.
It just seems like they understand like that it worked out good, and like now there's industry where they're at, and like if anything, they're just happy to be where they're in a safe place. You know, Guatemala can be scary. You know, people that live in safe places seem to be happy about it. You know,
right?
Yeah, we watched one of your YouTube videos where you were at one of the markets there in Antigua.
Yeah, isn't that place beautiful? That place is off the chain. Yeah, I think the little picture I got for that one is like a good way to describe it. I mean, yeah, there's just smoke coming out the volcanoes at any time. There's 2 of them that are the famous big ones. I think it's like, dang, I'm stupid. I think it's like blue, like fuego and water, or like blue and red, like some 2 like kind of yin and yang like type of like opposites that are either smoking at one time, or maybe the fuego one is the active one. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. Or maybe if I'm wrong, it'll get comments. Being wrong is good for comments. So
Yeah.
fuego is the active volcano. Write that down. Put that in your dictionary. And yeah, dude, it's just awesome. He's got those type of markets. I mean, how do we? Anytime I'm in one of those places, man, I'm just like, it's like, how do you even fucking like describe all the colors and like how unlike America all of that is? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From the bargaining to the no tax on the prices to the just the atmosphere to the cooking stuff on an oil fryer right in front of you. I mean, it's just sick, man. It's a lot of fun. And then that's what Antigua is. Every little corner you turn, it's like what another angle of any various, if not volcano, definitely a huge mountain that just surrounds like the whole city. Like there's like a reason it got like famous for sure. Yeah, Antigua's awesome. And but from there, it's the easy jumping off point to any really place that you want to go in the country. It's not a huge country. It's kind of squeezed in there. The Caribbean's on one side, but there's only a small like Guatemala border on that side because over there's a lot of it's Mexico and Belize. But from there, it's probably the best place to jump off to different awesome like just places you've never been, like out of all places beside Mexico City. You can go damn anywhere from Mexico City, but yeah, Antigua, Guatemala, you can even get your shuttle back to the airport. It's only like an hour. You know what I mean? From there, have y'all heard of Lake Atitlan? That's one of the big famous ones. From there, I went to Lake Atitlan, and that is one of the most astounding places I've ever been. Like for sure, it's a fun ride over there too.
Yeah.
It's a fun ride over there too. Let's see, which one did I go to? I didn't stay in the big one, not the big one. When the time I spent in, I think it's Panajachel, the bigger area of it. That area felt a little more jaded. I went to one of like you've seen the videos. They got them in like categories. You know, one of them's like the hippie one, and one of them's like the, I don't know if that's a good way to describe it. There's one of them's like the hippie one, and one of them's like the authentic one. I think I went to like, there was hostels and stuff, so I think I went to one of the more like authentic hostel ones. I'm not really sure, but man, Lake Atitlan is just, it feels like an ocean, and I feel like I can only say like water surrounded by mountains so many times, but you've seen probably maybe mine or other people's videos of Lake Atitlan, and it's just unbelievable, like Jurassic Park type. Like I said, it's a mountainy. It's what would be jungle if it wasn't for mountains. So it's just green mountains, like all just draining into this like awesomely blue like lake. And I say lake, it's like acres and acres of land, maybe miles, I don't know. And you can only get around to these areas by boat. That's kind of like one of the more beautiful things about it. It's been a theme to a couple of my trips in Guatemala, is like only being able to get there by boat. So you take the what did I take? So I took one of them travel buses like I was talking about. And these travel agencies are funny, man. It's like, yeah, we'll get you there, blah blah blah. But like literally what it is like you sign the deal and it's not like, oh, this many people are gonna ride this bus at like this hour. It's like, no, he signed up right here. Let's call. I know a guy with a van. I know two guys with a car. I know one guy with a bus, and two guys with like one of the mini sized like Conv like type things. We're just gonna call them, and one of them is gonna be available to pick you up and take you out there. Like, and that's been the theme at hotels and at these like touristy places. It's like they were like, "Yeah, we get you transport." It's like, "Oh, what am I going?" And they're like, "Transport." It's like, "Oh, okay," but we got there most times.
Yeah.
But I think this one was like a normal like Sprinter type van, you know, where they tie your bags on the top. I stick with like not even like a backpack, like a regular backpack. Like I like to keep with my stuff, a super minimal there. But yeah, it just took us to the one which I think is called Panajachel, and from there you can get on You get on the only way to get to your city, which is through a boat. One of the most beautiful boat rides. I mean, most of the beautiful boat rides of my life have been in Guatemala. I mean, it's just, maybe I can, that was old phones. I can maybe send y'all some shit or anything. I mean, I'm just Facebook sometimes. If I can't even find my own stuff, I'll be like, I went here. Let me put it into Facebook because people put up pictures all the time.
Yeah.
Just steal that from somebody's aunt real quick. Put that on my video. But no, Pineapple is beautiful. I mean, you get there, dude, and like the first little part is like the ones that are on the river. So it's a lot of the restaurants, it's a lot of the hostels, it's a lot of the hotels, and it's beautiful. I walked to I got I guess it's qualified as a hostel. I walked up and down the cobblestone streets. Maybe I took a tuk-tuk. Tuk-tuks are big there. And they're also reliable and safe in the same way. You know what I mean? Sometimes they got weak. But I probably walked, I was still probably feeling brave. It was one of the two. I was either took a tuk-tuk because I was feeling rich or I walked because I was feeling brave. I can't remember which one of
Do they call them tuk-tuks in Latin America?
That's a good fucking question. I think they do more in like Guatemala. I think here in Mexico, it's more like a moto taxi. We took one yesterday or a couple of days ago for after some shows. I think I was like tuk-tuk and they were like, what? And then I said moto taxi. I think moto taxi is more of like a broad, like safe one. I think I might just watch too many YouTube videos.
Right.
They do call them chicken buses, I think exclusively in Guatemala for whatever reason. But
yeah,
I feel like tuk-tuk worked, but moto taxi is like a broad, always works, you know? But yeah, I got to this, like it was a hostel. I think it was $7 a night. It was one of the cooler, like more unique ones because you did have like, it wasn't it was I wouldn't call it like a whole room to yourself, but it was like a private little wall area. Like, you know how the hostels like at least maybe drapes or like closed up with like a curtain. This was like a room with like one bed and like one little like shelf to use or whatever. And that was like your little pod for lack of a better term. And it was $7 a night. And then you go outside to the bathroom that's shared and the kitchen that's shared. And actually this place had a restaurant that was pretty fucking good. And I mean, you go outside and your view is like the neighbor's cornfield and, the other neighbors doing construction. And like down the hill is like Lake Atitlan at the bottom and like the mountains in the background. And you can kind of see that as you're eating pancakes. And it was off the chain. You walk out of there and like, I think next door was like a Spanish school too. So they had that set up pretty beautifully as well. So you could see that. You walk down like the little aisle. I'll put that like it's gonna help. I put down the little aisle, like one of those little kind of like dirt aisle where people walk up and down to the lake and stuff, and people got their laundry. You could just sit there forever. I mean, people are paddling along, and they do. People get their water from there, so there's people getting a little. I don't know if y'all seen the little water generator things that you crank up and kind of sucks up water for the farm and. People washing their clothes and stuff. I mean, a lot of life going on. And it's still Guatemala, which is close to Mexico, so there's still street food and tacos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When you go out at night. It's got a good mixture at Atitlan, and it's like one of those thumbs up safe places,
Right.
I guess the government don't fuck around with that whatever tourist places they got. It's not as popular from Americans, but dude, like all the backpackers know about Guatemala for sure, about Atitlan and about Antigua definitely, and the pyramids obviously.
Yeah, it's definitely a backpacker place for sure. It's one of those. I don't want to say underrated, but a lot of people in the travel community kind of know about it and backpackers and stuff, but it's kind of off the main tourist path, I'd say.
Yeah, I wouldn't say tour. I wouldn't call it a leisure place. You know what I mean? I don't know if there's any city, maybe Antigua, but that's more of like a committed expacker thing, less of like a 2-week vacation thing.
Right.
It might exist in some of these coastal places, but even then, it's probably just like for Guatemalans. It's not like Cancun. I was amazed by just how many gigantic Jurassic Park looking fucking resorts you driving in Cancun and shit. Yeah, but anyways, there's like a little bench right there where you sit down by the beach and you got to see these ladies doing laundry, and that was pretty interesting too, man, because there's like a little barge, like a little area like a dock, like half, but it's surrounded by water. You know what I mean? It kind of floats. I was like, that's interesting. What's that for? And then lo and behold, two little short Mayan ladies with their flowery dresses and their bright colors and shit. They had a little basket on them, and they just walked into the river with their baskets in hand. Kind of started swimming, got to the little barge, boom, and that's right there where they started doing their laundry, squeezing out their laundry and throwing it back in the thing. And that's just how they took care of it. She even washed the clothes on her. I think I don't know, she might have got all the way naked. You know, it's Guatemala. Maybe let's just say she kept it on, but she even took the shirt off, washed everything she was wearing, and swam out to the lake and took her clean clothes home. And that's how she did laundry out there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wild. There's you see the occasional German guy walking by, like, what the hell? I don't have a good accent for German. It's just an interesting place, man.
Yeah. Did you see any other Americans there? Any other people from the States?
States? Maybe. You always get surprised by that one. I've definitely seen it. Maybe. I mean, if they're gringos, they're normally like Europe or like Australia. Australian people don't give a fuck. Germany, like that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think I remember in a van. It might have been. I'm not putting together which Guatemala trip it was, but yeah, there was an American girl who had just got through doing like a hostel volunteer thing in Chiapas, and which Chiapas was super hot at the time with like cartels and stuff, and she had just crossed through Guatemala on land and was coming to or leaving wherever we were from. Maybe it was Atitlan. And I was like, she was an American girl and she was out there for a couple months. I was like, that's pretty bold. That's pretty ballsy. Like, you'd be surprised. Y'all seen it, man. You get out there and get after it. So you know, like, you'd be surprised what people do, man. They go out to some crazy ass places.
Yeah.
I definitely. And I'm sure if I was more into I mean, I'm a little older. I'm 32. I'm a little older. So if I was more into the drinking all the time and the hostels, and I probably would have met more Americans that time. But I had a nice, like, this wasn't like I say hostel because it had had like an off the side thing. I think they called it a hotel where I was at. There was no more Americans where I was staying.
Mm-hmm.
But when you first arrived to the part of the island I was at, there was Americans at Lake Atitlan for sure. And throughout Guatemala, for sure. Not Guatemala City. Antigua, definitely. Met a guy from like Philadelphia or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Some real estate, man. But yeah, Lake Atitlan is very, very good. The food there is great. There's like there's the taco thing going on in Guatemala. It's right by Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times the tacos will be kind of the tortillas are kind of sitting in some sauce, and then you also got like an extra tortilla on the bottom. So you're eating the taco and like it kind of falls apart, but everything falls onto your extra taco.
Right. Yep.
And then you pick that up, and that's like your last extra taco.
Yeah, I never understood why they give you two tortillas, and I used to just always eat it with the two tortillas. And then somebody showed me that, oh no, that's so that when it all falls out, you put it in the other tortilla.
Yeah, right. There's a certain like amount of meat.
Yeah.
Like some of the super cheap ones here in Mexico, if you get like a 5 peso, if you get like a quarter taco, like a 5 peso taco, it'll be one tortilla, but it's an amount of meat the tortilla can handle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll fall apart in Guatemala. Remember that being like a thing for sure. I remember knowing it was dangerous in Guatemala City. I'm going somewhere else right quick, but I remember knowing how dangerous it was in Guatemala City because it was starting to get dark and I was walking home. And the taco shop I had just ate at, they were like, this is my 4 gallon of water. That's how you know you're in Mexico. They can't do nothing with the water here.
Mm-hmm.
But the taco shop I was walking by, I ate there earlier to the day, and the grill was like half full of food and stuff, but they were like getting ready to clean it up. I was like, hey man, what time do y'all close normally? He's like, oh dude, when it gets dark, we close. Like we're done when it gets dark. And that's like the taco man in a shop, not at the tent, like, so that's how that area was. But dude, at Atitlan, man, you can walk around all night and get tacos and, I don't want to keep saying tacos, but I'm a big, dude, yeah, there's a good like tortas, a lot of good pork in Guatemala.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Atitlan too. But yeah, Lake Atitlan is like amazing views and amazing food for sure. Another place I went, and I think after on that trip, I think after that I went back to Guatemala City and because there's the flight and I wrestled or something like that. It was a combination of coming in and out of Antigua, which I've already kind of talked about.
So you
The
went.
other notable, like
You went twice. When did you go, and then how far apart was it?
there's so it's all within like the past 2 or 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
and both times were like between like 7 and 9 days. I want to say. I know one time I wrote a bunch of stuff down and I wrote down 9 days in Guatemala. So that was 9 days in Guatemala. And I think I went another time and the topic was, oh yeah, I was on a very, very, very tight budget, which made it kind of a little bit more epic. So I think the first time I went was like 9 days and it included like Guatemala City, Antigua, going to Atitlan, wrestling in Guatemala City, and then coming home or something like that. And then the second time, which I'll probably get to next, is like going to Livingston, which is like an African tribe on the Caribbean, on the tiny little coast that I was talking about, to where like those main roads don't reach out to any other cities. So like anything that gets there's got to be like taken in a boat or like flown out to that part of the city, to that part of Guatemala, and it's kind of right there with the Belize border. And I did some crazy shit out there. And that was like a not 7 or 8 day trip, I think. But I had like, I think to my name, like for real, like $400, and I did not have any hotels booked at all.
Wow.
So I booked all my hotels and then like survived like that.
Flying by the seat of your pants.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do what?
I said flying by the seat of your pants, just like fuck it, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought the ticket and I was like, I'll get a couple extra shifts at work and see what happens,
Was that second time centered around wrestling? Like, did you go both times, or that was like kind of like a leisure?
But the first time in wrestling, it kind of just came up from a contact that I met in another country. Both times in Guatemala, I kind of figured I wasn't going to wrestle. I kind of halfway kept my eyes open, especially the second time that it had already happened. And they had hit me up and asked me about it. But at that point, it's like, fuck, I think I had maybe arranged transport to the airport already, and I was going to be from another place. Or there was some reason where I was like, it's not going to be super convenient. Oh, I think like the wrestling date was like at the beginning of the trip, and during that part, I was already going to do the Livingston trek. And like that was just the beginning of the trip, and then I'm not gonna stay in Guatemala City for like 5 days. There's not as much to do there. So that would mean I have to go to Guatemala City, get back out of Guatemala City, and it was just starting to become costly. And like I said, it was a budget trip, and like they couldn't offer very much money at all. I wouldn't ask for for Guatemala, but not to say like that, but I wouldn't ask them for money usually. But they offered me a little bit, and I was like, damn, it's not gonna help that much. So I didn't wrestle the second time. But going back to the taxi thing, like I was saying, like all I did, I had so on the way, I'm sorry, the trip to Livingston, Guatemala starts in Guatemala City, and on the way, typically you go to a place called Rio Dulce, which is like the big river that takes you out to these to Tikal. You can get a Tikal and stuff like that from there. So it's like there's like the big lake and the big river that kind of takes you out to the jungly areas of like Tikal, and a lot of the boat options were like places like Tikal, like Flores, like whatever. I think Flores was the city before Tikal, if I'm not mistaken. But what I did was ended up going straight to Rio Dulce, and I didn't have any information. Like I had reserved my hostel on the river on Rio Dulce for like $11, maybe $13 a night, and that was the upgrade from the hostel room, which would have been like $7 a night. So I got like again like just kind of like a private bed only, like with a dresser type deal, and that was sick. You're like right in the jungles of like Rio Dulce, floating on the river. But to get there, basically, I just went and asked a taxi. I'm like, hey, I'm going to Rio Dulce. And he's like, shit, I'm not going to take you. I'm like, I don't know, but like, what do you think? I'm like, he's like, well, there's this one. He's like, I'm like, I was like, what's the safest like bus company, but it goes directly there? He's like, there's a one called It's called damn, I wish I remember what it's called. They really were sick. They were great. Just comfortable enough. Like Guata something, man. Guatemax. I don't know. It's like the green. They're like green in Guatemala. Maybe it's better if people don't know. But dude, it was one of those places again, like a good transport, but it was like a bigger bus at like a better price. And the guy took me directly there for like, maybe he could have charged me a little less, but whatever. He took me there for a fair price directly to the bus route where I got a bus route directly to the city where I needed to go. And the whole time I'm just communicating with these guys on B&B because I got to get in a boat to get to my hostel. I can't just walk up to my hostel. You got to arrange for a boat. Normally they have like a couple times that they go throughout the day so that the guests can come and go, which I'll probably get to if I put Yammer in. But yeah, that was way later than that because the bus took me a long time. I get there like 9:30 or something at night, and it's just like this river city in the middle of Guatemala. But it was a safe place. Like I said, yes or no, it was a safe place. Or it felt like it to me. I guess nobody ever confirmed it. But yeah, the bus took me straight there, and the guy kind of gave me some hand instructions how to get to where I was going to be in like the new later time they were going to come get me, which was probably 30 minutes after I got there. So I just read the instructions on Airbnb, kind of going in and out of service. I got AT&T. I'm like a spoiled mama's boy, so I got AT&T, and like when you go to, it works regular in Mexico, but you can go to other places, and it's like $10 a day, but like after 10,
international
that,
day
it
pass.
it caps at like 100 or something, and you just pay like 100 a month.
Yep.
So it's just regular service basically, but it comes and goes based on the cell towers there. So I was on Airbnb Messenger, went down to the dock, walked through Rio Dulce, kind of this cool little river city. Went down to the dock, and eventually my guy came and picked me up and took me to the river hostel. He was just an employee there, and like I said, the only way to get to this place is on the boat. So that's one of their boats. They hopped in, come and got me, picked me up. They had a little restaurant there. My budget was crazy, so I was being a bit of a little spoiled brat. But like I'm on a river and stuff. But like I was upset at like the prices a little bit of the tacos. But like they kept their little restaurant open with just the only place I could buy anything. Like and gave me really good pork tacos and like yeah, you could eat really good there for a good price, especially now looking back, considering. Just had everything you need. There's like fucking parrots everywhere. Semi pet parrots. Boat pulls up and you can just swim right off the dock. And yeah, you're just at a river floating hostel. I got a little private room there. There's a bar. You can have a couple beers. It's really, really cool. I hope to really go back there with a more appreciative mind and a better budget.
Yeah,
for sure. And yeah, from there, I think the hostel does do tours from there, but I was able to talk him into a price to just kind of take me to Livingston. A lot of people just go tour Livingston because I got to say it did turn out to be a pretty rough place. So a lot of people just take their little tour. And it's like the historic, and it's like, yeah, the place started from like a slave ship crash, from what I understand. It's like a very African influenced place. Like the Mayan people I explained to you earlier that were washing their clothes, they still kind of exist in this place. But there's also like the African descent people you would look at in like the Nigeria documentaries, not for lack of a better term, like carrying shit on their head, the colorful dresses, like were they speaking Spanish? It was a mix of Spanish and English in that area. And man, the boat there was like, I mean, Hawaii type views, man. I mean, it's just like craterous, monstrous mountains surrounding this, like, I mean, you hear howler, like, apart from like the craterous mountains, some of the mountains, they look like damn pyramids, dude. Like, it's just like jungle areas. We stop to get gas and you can hear howl monkeys. Like, there's like, there's like iguanas everywhere. Like when you stop somewhere, like it's a super duper 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 cool place. And it takes you to where the boats come out in Livingston, and like it's got like a little square right there. and you can just immediately tell like the people are like different. It's just like a whole different society, like for sure. And actually, I lied. I stayed at a hostel the first couple of nights, but that the transport does do that. It takes you to that boat area. But somebody in our boat happened to say the name of the hostel I was staying at was Pink something, Casa Rosita, something like that. And I think it was $7 a night for a hostel. Not on the river, but like there was a dock that went out to the river, and like this time I had just stayed in the big hostel room, and that was a really cool spot. I was again being a little pisshead because they did sell food, but it was like, only really nice foods at really expensive prices. So I was like, I'm gonna go out in the streets and see what I can find. But no, it was a beautiful. You get off the dock, walk up to the area. Um, Beautiful plants. There's a swing, all that shit. Looking over the river. That's basically where the river, the Rio Dulce, meets the Caribbean Sea. So it's like a bit of that little mixed area, half Caribbean Sea, half like Rio Dulce, and then like farther on into the journey, the trip is like where I went with like the actual beach with the palm trees and other details. But yeah, it's really sick. You're looking over that kind of bay, I guess is the word, type area, and there was a storm, and like yeah, it was tough to sleep through, but like to hear that storm on the tin roof and like see it with the ocean or the bay and like the waves moving around, it was pretty sick. Um, it was a little bit off the beaten path. You had to walk to get stuff. The guy was a little rude. He didn't want to let me use the microwave, but there was like a microwave for the kitchen workers because our kitchen didn't have one. But yeah, you could use. There's public kitchens for you to use and extra bathrooms and yada yada. Pretty cool, good spot for $7. But and I from there you could kind of walk to the beach. I met a guy from New York that was living in Livingston, Guatemala.
Wow.
As I was walking to the beach, I think I was walking just to smoke probably. And like, yeah, you walk to the beach. Unfortunately, it is the most disgusting, or 90% of it. There's one little clean part, but just the most. Everywhere's got trash, But like, it was like one of the most disgusting beaches I've ever seen. Like, especially later on the journey when I started walking, I mean, it's just only trash. Like, is what you're maneuvering through. Like,
right.
where the waves are crashing onto. Unfortunately, and it's nothing against anybody that's like a lot of the world's like that, unfortunately.
Right.
But yeah, you go down to the beach and it is the Caribbean Sea though, no matter what the water looks like or the trash, like especially when you first time get to the thing, like palm trees, beautiful Caribbean Sea. You look to the right, it's a little bit more richer, more taken care of. So like, yeah, it's beautiful views, less garbage, like people take care of it in certain parts for sure. But yeah, I met this guy from New York, and like I'm like walking down to the beach, and I could just hear this like, forgive me, like New York style music. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, I was like New York. I don't know what I was thinking. I was like New York, and he comes out, he's like, "What the fuck are you doing, man?" And like obviously, like a lot of, especially out there, like a lot of like foreigners don't go there. I don't know if you watch Timmy Carter's travel vlogs. He's homies with the Bald and Bankrupt guy. But yeah, I watched him go to Livingston, Guatemala. But I haven't seen much on it at all. It was pretty interesting how foreign it was to me, anyways. But yeah, he just came out and we ended up talking. He went there because he had a friend they're from New York. He ended up being from New York. He had a Guatemalan friend in New York that eventually got deported. And then they would always talk about his homeland. And then my guy ended up going down there and just ended up staying. I don't know, I think he met a lady or whatever. And he's like all 2 or 3 houses away from the beach. If the street's going downhill, there's house, 2 or 3 away from the beach.
Wow.
Just chilling, living, man.
That's the dream, huh?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
The more I stay out, the more I like to move to different places and see it. But yeah, he's living his dream for sure, and he's just blaring that New York music out all the time. That's how you know he's out and about. I hollered at him 2 or 3 times out there.
So how would you say, we'll just take like food, for example, how would you say the food in Guatemala compares to other places in Latin America? We'll say Mexico.
I gotta say, I mean, it's not as good as Mexico, but Mexico is number one by far.
Yeah.
So, especially like with a budget thing, like a lot of these places, it can get complicated because not the farther south you go, the more you're stirring away from just like tacos and like I don't know, tacos is a small quantity like working man's food. And there's other working man's food out there, like there's empanadas and like stuff like that, which I'm okay with empanadas, but I'm not as crazy about them. Like eat them more on the budget thing. But Guatemala is probably second with food, and then Peru, just because it's like I gotta be honest, like the working man food is a little bit more like, if not Americanized, Mexicanized. You know what I mean? Tacos and tortas and quesadillas and hamburgers and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think Guatemala is pretty high up there because you can get. I mean, Guatemala is one of the probably. It's either Mexico or Guatemala that's the most affordable places to live and to eat for sure.
Right. Yeah, that was going to be my next question is how does it compare price wise to, say Mexico or other places in Latin America?
It's cheaper to stay to live. Hotels and hostels are cheaper for sure.
Yeah.
$7, $5 all day. For like a lower quality hostel. I mean, I've got full nice nice is a strong word, full hotels with beds and stuff for like privacy for like $7 in Guatemala City. Get to the touristy places, the prices start going up, but yeah, I think you can get good prices in Guatemala. Very good prices. Even like traveling across the country is pretty affordable. Long distance travel in Mexico can be a little expensive. I think Guatemala's got it beat there, but again, Guatemala's just a smaller place.
Right.
I'm complaining, but that'd be like saying like, I'm complaining of the price of a ticket from Mexico City to Tijuana, which is forever away. But the distances are way fucking smaller in Guatemala.
Right.
But you can navigate most of the country pretty cheaply. And the food and things only start to get expensive in places that become isolated.
Right.
That you have to. I kind of put it in perspective when the beer boat pulled up to my river hostel, and I'm like, oh damn, that's why they want $4 for a fucking beer.
Right.
Because the company's gotta put this shit in a boat and take it out to you. You
right.
know?
Which is funny because that's still not a bad price here.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. I just
paid $10 for a beer the other day.
Yeah.
Oh golly.
Yeah.
Oh man, nah, I'm not in Mexico, brother.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. Yeah, the farther you get out, in this particular trip, it was a budget price thing, and like, that made it a little harder for me, and that made it a little bit more epic because, like, yeah, especially when the farther I got out, like, you get to this beachside camping thing I get, and the only thing that resembles a restaurant is the fucking hotel that wants $13 for the shitty burger, and I'm like, oh man, there's like no way, but yeah. The next journey was to go from that hostel to I rented camping, which I'm not much of a camper. Like, I'm not entirely sure what I was thinking, but I got the impression that there was going to have a tent already put up there, so that part was going to be done. And then I do have this like blow up little air mattress that I bring with me just in case, but everything was but it was better than that. So the journey begins over there. I get a little bit tied up. Oh man. What about I got kind of almost scammed by this weed guy. I don't know if you guys want me to talk about weed stories or anything. I can move past it. But okay, so
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so there's the guy out I got to the little beach area, and then you take a left, and basically the idea was to walk however that long ass trip to the beachside camping that I had. Basically it was just hang a left. Now you're mostly on the Caribbean, and it's gonna start getting farther and farther into like the real Caribbean Sea. So I'm just walking, but there's a guy outside of a restaurant who gives you the old drug dealer spiel of like burgers, yada 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 yada, drugs, whatever. So, and I was okay, but I was like, sure, whatever. I'll go buy a beer, and I go buy a beer, and I'm drinking it, and this guy's drunk already, which I should have been more weary of. I go into like this family half restaurant, half house deal with like it's like they're arguing. They're not arguing, but it's a legit business. Like there's signs outside. It's a restaurant. And this guy sits down and he's just like eating whatever his plate is. This like drunk guy. And he like hands it to me and he's like, "Do you want some of this?" I'm like, "I do not want whatever it is you're eating." It was like curry looking meat and potatoes and whatever the fuck. And I was like, "Yeah, so what about the weed, dude?" And he showed it to me and I was turned off by him, so I wasn't gonna do it. But man, the other weed I had, oh, and that was a good story too. I got that from the shoe shine guy, basically. He told me to hold down the shoe shine stand and he'll be right back. And he went and got some weed for me.
Did you have to shine any shoes?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he said the price was 20 quetzales, but unfortunately, I didn't have to rip anybody off because nobody came and asked. But yes, but that weed wasn't that great. But the S guy, as drunk and shitty, as drunk and as big of a piece of shit as he was, and weed smelled a whole lot fucking better. And I was like, all right, how much for this? And so basically, we get through the whole like stalling thing that drug dealers are famous for. It's like, have a drink, have some food, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, listen, man, let's get to work. And so he does the thing where you give him the money and he takes off. But I've been around the fucking block before in Atlanta. Like, now you got to keep these guys in your sight, brother. And so I just keep following this guy. And basically we end up in a store. And so that's where he's at. But he kind of disappears and like comes back or he disappears inside of a store. So, okay. But then he goes and walks around to another spot, and I peek around the corner. I can still kind of see him. He comes back eventually. I don't know if I lost him for a second, and I was like, I think I did. Well, he did kind of lose me for a second, but I didn't want to leave the store because the store was kind of like, there was a lady in there, so I had a witness. So like, I was like, I'll go back to this lady immediately. And that's exactly what I did. I turned to the lady. I was like, "Hey, what the fuck? Where's he going?" He's like, she's like, I was like, well, I think I was nicer. I was like, "Is this normal that he goes and comes back?" And she said, "Yes, it's normal that he goes and comes back." So eventually he comes back. And like I said, this guy's drunk. And the amount that I had came out to 2 portions, but he just had to get it like that, 2 portions. And so he shows me the 2 portions, but then he like, kind of boldly like takes one and kind of puts it on the other hand for himself, and he's like, "No, this is my tip." And I just reached over and this is like a drunk guy who, I don't want to lie about this, but he had at least told me that he was willing to do some crazy shit. I think he showed me his gun, but I don't want to lie about that. But yeah, but he took the other one. He took the one bag, put it away from my hand, and said, "This is my tip." And I'm so fucking retarded. And guys, this is like, if the total was $8, the bag I'm fighting over is like $4 worth of. And this is a budget trip, but that's still an insane thing to do over that. I would like snag that shit, and I like kind of took it back into my hand or whatever, and like fuck, I don't know. I just kind of stood my ground. I was like, "No, fuck no, you're not like fucking me over like that anymore." And he was just kind of shocked. And luckily he was drunk. He was just kind of like stepped back or whatever. And the lady was like, the lady could see that it got kind of intense. I didn't touch him or nothing like that, but I was in a chair and then I stood up, you know what I mean? And the lady was like, I guess the lady knew what was up because the first thing she said was like, "How much does he owe you? How much does he owe you?" And I was like, "No, I got it now. He was just trying to fuck me over." She was like, "Well, get out of here then." So I just like walked out of there with my now $8 worth of marijuana.
That's wild for her. The first thing out of her mouth to be like, "How much does he owe you?"
Yeah, that's what she said. Like, "¿Cuánto te debe? ¿Cuánto te debe?" I'm like, "Oh, she knows what this guy's talking about." I was like, "No, I got it now." But fuck, like, well, she's like, "You better go then." I'm like, "All right." And I've locked eyes with him later on too, just like in passing, and we almost kind of smiled at each other. That's just a rough place, man. It's a rough, isolated, like desperate place. It's tough out there. Like, I mean, if you got an industry of around an isolated population of a couple thousand people, like, fuck, how are you gonna survive? If you got to go to the only bigger cities are gonna get 1 boat, 2 boat, 3 boat, 4 boats away. You know what I mean? I mean, the shoe shine guy told me he comes from like 2 hours away to the first city, not the second city. You know what I mean? So imagine being born isolated in that place. Like, it's hard out here. But Yeah, so that was the beginning of the fucking journey all the way out there. So me and like I got like 4 eggs tied to my backpack and some fucking and a couple and then some Lucky Charms. No, not Lucky Charms. Some Apple Jacks. I ate so much eggs and Apple Jacks that I was off cereal and eggs, or it was more the butter that I got sick of. But I was off cereal and eggs for like almost a year until I came back to Mexico this time. But me and all my food, we just start trucking along, and like the GPS says that you can just like go directly. You're still on the beach, like whatever directly to it's like it's like it becomes a new city from Livingston. It's like a different one. Becomes closer to like a natural reserve, and it's a little bit cleaner, and it's almost like too nice, you know what I mean? But at the beginning is trash beach, like I was saying, like literally like you're either walking in deep grass, which you don't know about snakes, or you're walking in trash just on the beach. And look, what do you know? The fucking tide is getting higher and higher and higher. And man, I could turn. It's like I don't want to turn back. I've already walked like a half mile at this point, and eventually it gets to where like I gotta jump this one thing. I'm like, all right, it's not too bad. Like I'll just jump because there's some tide, but now the rivers that drain into the ocean, you got to jump over that. So I'm like jump. I say river, like maybe creek drainage, water drainage draining into the ocean. Now I'm jumping over that. And like, the next one that comes, like my foot gets a little wet. Like that just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And but it works. Like I'm walking kind of on the banks of these people's properties, and like when the river comes, you just jump over it. But eventually, dude, I get to this fucking. Not even yet. I'm not even there yet. I'm sorry. At one point, I'd have to take my backpack off and throw it across because there's no way I can like. I don't know. I just needed to make sure if I fall, the backpack doesn't fall with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get all my valuables, put it in the backpack, throw it, including the eggs. Try to throw that soft enough so the fucking eggs don't break. Throw the backpack across. Throw the backpack across, and your feet get a little wet on this one. There's a little. I'd even go so far as to say I'm taking a couple steps in just water, salt, half. I guess not salt water yet, but whatever that half water is, like take a couple steps, and then you eventually get to one that's just too big, and there's actual concrete on the other side, so it's just too big, and it's actually like if I smack, it's gonna be super fucking rough. And I'm like, God, just I guess I'm walking back. Now it's a mile. Now I've walked more than a mile on the beach. And it's like, fuck, whatever. I guess I got to go back. And I'm like, is there anybody around? Like the last 2 or 3 blocks of property, including the one I'm stopped at before the river crossing, across was somebody else's property, but was a private property. Luckily, dude, there's somebody out there just fucking farming or whatever the fuck it is they do on the beach. And I was like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. He's like, what are you doing, bro? I'm like, I'm trying to get to I'm trying to remember if I had this reference point yet. No, I didn't have this reference point yet. I'm trying to get to whatever the fuck the name of the city is, and I basically just communicated that I'm trying to get more far. He's like, you're going to this part, and I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, okay. You got to go back to the inside of where the road is, like, and you take the road. Tell them to take you to the bridge, and the bridge is it's the fucking bridge. You just go inside, find civilization, and tell them to take you to the bridge, and that bridge crosses to like the different city, and that's like the real like really where real Dulce. So that's like that actual river. I kept saying creek, but where the real Dulce drains into the Caribbean Sea, and that's like the bridge that crosses into like the area that becomes mostly resorts, and I wouldn't even say resorts, just like hotels or properties. Like it's a little bit nicer, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so like I'm like, all right, but I guess I got to go back, right, and then find a road there. He's like, no, and I couldn't even jump to this guy's property if I wanted to, And he's like, no, just go through the neighbor's house. I'm like, bro, I seen like 4 or 5 signs that said no trespassing, dude. I don't know, that's kind of crazy. He's like, no, dude, he's not home. Just go. It's fine. No worries at all. So I'm like, all right, that's the property I'm kind of stepping on right now. So all I had to do is just follow the river back up, and then like eventually that became their driveway, and like he was right. Nobody was home, and I walked up, and like eventually there was a road, and there's a tuk-tuk coming, and I get into it, and I don't know if I explained it to him wrong, or I understood which direction the bridge was, and we weren't going that way. We were going like back towards somewhere the fuck else. I was like, oh my god, just please let me out. I'll just walk. So I walked, and I eventually got to the bridge. And the bridge, there's like this one last little like, I mean, it was a gas station, but it's like that type of store. You know what I mean? One last one of those, and like you end up crossing the bridge, and I mean, it's beautiful. It's the Caribbean Sea. It is just as Caribbean Sea as anywhere else. I mean, it's just a beautiful. You're walking on these awesome beaches, and eventually I get to fucking camping, right? Which it was an empty field at this point. The guy greets me up there. I think it was like $7, $12 a night, maybe, to just sleep on the under palm trees in the Caribbean. And there was even like a little hut with a bathroom and like a little area to cook and stuff like that. It was pretty beautiful. But yeah, I mean, there's farm animals, chickens, coconuts. I mean, when I get there, the first thing the guy does is like, he's like, "Hey, how are you? I'm so and so." The host greets me, and he just picks up a coconut, machetes it, and passes it to me and says, like, take a sip. I'm like, dude, hell yeah, man, we're here. But yeah, so the problem was it's going to rain, and these tents are not rainproof, right? So the solution to that was to sleep in the little hut thing, which was, I mean, just kind of like a little jungle hut. There's like a little main area when you go in. There's a hammock and a table, and like the back is like where there's like a fridge that doesn't work, and like a little gas, not stove, but a little gas tank for you to cook. And upstairs there's some mattresses covered in insects and mosquito nets, and that's your hut. But now I had to stay inside. That was the solution because like first of all, the tent wasn't up. I thought he was going to put the tent up, and then like it was going to rain, and it's not waterproof, and you might have to set it up in the rain, which would be even harder. So, oh damn, I've been talking for an hour and 15 minutes. That's crazy, or 12 minutes. That's crazy. But yeah, dude. So now we're sleeping in the hut on the Caribbean, and it was one of the roughest. Apart from like, just driving overnight for wrestling or like layovers or like, it was one of the roughest like non-transit lives of my life for sure, because like there was no solution to anything. Like, first of all, the mosquito net had holes in it, which mean that bigger bugs were getting in it, and there's only one or two holes, so the bigger bugs ain't just getting out of it easily. So like once something gets in your mosquito net, it's in there forever. And so that's great. I'm not doing this anymore. So I try to sleep there for a minute, and then I go down to the hammock, which is not mosquito netted up, but like whatever. It's not a malaria place. Like, if it ain't malaria mosquitoes, y'all know, y'all from the South, dude. Mosquito ain't nothing to me, man. Yeah. I took about a couple hundred since I've been here to Mexico. But no, I was sleeping in the hammock, but that was equally as rough. Just because of sleeping in a hammock and the bugs were kind of getting you. But I did have my little air, and it's not just bugs, man. You're on the inside. One of the main things about being sucked about that half little shed is like there's critters up in the top of the roof. It's like just one of them pointy, barny roof, and like birds and mammals and frogs, and there's just all kind of animals in there just kind of making noise and existing where I'm trying to sleep and shit. So you go downstairs, maybe that's less. Turn off the lights. That's not really working that good. So I blow up this little air mattress. It's his lifesaver. I got it on Temu, but the brand is available on Amazon. I forgot the brand, but it's one of those ones that blow up into like the little squares, the air mattress. So like flat, your body weight is even enough, or mine is even enough to keep you off the ground. So if it lays down flat, you're off the ground. And if you want to sit on it, you can fold it, and that's enough for you to be off the ground, to be sitting. So it's like half a chair, but you can like I was like, so I'll just do that. I'll just put that out. It's not raining. It wasn't raining at that point. So I'll just take that out to the little camping area, blow it up, lay down on it, whatever. Like, it's the beach. I can listen to the beach waves come and go. it's already like 2:30 in the morning. Like it'll be awake soon. So I get down there. I'm laying on this like green blow up air mattress just on the little grass area of the beach. And the next thing you know, just wild stray beach dogs. One comes and gets closer, and one comes and gets closer, and you can't just be all the way afraid of dogs, but you got to be aware of your surroundings. And they started circling me up. I'm like, all right, dude, fuck this. I'm going back inside. So what I did is I just kind of, I don't know, I went back in and kind of pushed the mosquito net to one. I don't know. I just slept outside of it. I didn't really want to sleep on it either, but just laid over it for however long until the sun came up. And that was good. That was whatever. I slept almost none. And like, I'm days away from any like real civilization, like besides these fucking resorts I can't afford, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So wake up and it's like, first thing I do is like go to the bathroom. And when I go to the bathroom, I'll go to grease the toilet paper. Actually, I've already grabbed the toilet paper when I realized this. I grabbed the toilet paper and there's a scorpion with the length of the toilet paper, just like perfectly in like my field of vision where I grab it. Like, boom, it's just on the toilet paper. And as soon as I see it, like I kind of do like a girly freak out. And I throw it up in the air and like the scorpion lands in the toilet, right? And the scorpion kind of like turns around and looks at me as if to be like, "Do you think that fucking did anything to me, motherfucker?" And he just turned around and went down the toilet and back about his business like he owned that place. And I was like, all right, well, I'm leaving, dude. I've had enough. I am not as hardcore as I think I am. So I fucking, and after that, yeah, that's about as deep as that went. Yeah, I fucking left after that. I had my Apple Jacks and eggs, cooked me up some coffee. Oh, dude, let me tell you about the stores out there. Was not when I tell you there was only powdered milk, no regular milk, not even like a can. Canned milk is popular in some places, but like it was only powdered milk. Like the food you could eat was like ramen noodle. Like the store had no power. It was like a ramen noodles or like powdered milk
like
or powdered coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so to make coffee, but I was still able to make coffee though, because you just boil up water. Sometimes you gotta boil water for coffee, anyways. You just boil up water and insert however. I put a lot of powdered milk and a lot of coffee, and it was all right. And we just powered fucking out of there. And after that, I was just tired and pretty broke, so I was like, I'll go to Antigua and see out the rest of the trip. Kind of chilling there. Try to save money. It's a safe place where I can probably. I was more into comfort at that point, so I spent a vast majority of the budget on an Airbnb, and like I think it was like I think I spent $50 on 2 nights for an Airbnb, so that was a place for me to just relax and watch my Anthony Bourdain videos. You can watch any Anthony Bourdain video you want abroad because there's no copyright.
Right.
Yep. But yeah, but that made the food become like even more budget because that was like now it's fucking eggs and Apple Jacks like all 3 meals and shit. But we made it out of there, dude. It was a really, really fun experience. Guatemala's epic, bro. I can't wait to go back.
Awesome. Yeah. Sounds it.
That sounds like quite the journey.
Yeah.
To get out there and find out you don't like camping.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the more epic. It was like one of the more difficult and like story driven, like not driven, but like one of the best stories I got for sure. Is that going to that camping spot? Because I mean that shit was wild.
Yeah.
And yeah, those views, man, the Rio Dulce and like that whole area. That's like, let's say 70% of the journey to the pyramids and stuff, to the Tikal and stuff like that. I've done the Maya pyramid thing here in Mexico, but I haven't done it in Guatemala yet. So
yeah, it's definitely something we're interested in for sure.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I have a question, and I guess it's kind of it's unrelated to Guatemala, I guess, but it's we mentioned Mexico. You spent a lot of time in Mexico. As we mentioned, you do professional wrestling. And as we also kind of mentioned, you mentioned that the cartel in Mexico has their hand in a lot of businesses or most businesses. I don't know if this is something that you would even want to answer, but Did you notice any of that? Because I know professional wrestling is really big in Mexico, and so I was just kind of wondering, like, does the cartel have any involvement in bigger promotions in Mexico? Have you ever seen anything like that?
Oh man, listen. Let me put it this way, brother. There'll be a time when I never go back to Mexico, and we'll break it all the way down. But I don't want to be dramatic. I sincerely don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
Like you just can't. Like it's not like not to be like, but nah, it's not a game.
Yeah.
Like it is very serious. And no, there will be a day when I'm never coming back to Mexico. If I'm being perfectly honest, for that and for those type of reasons, and the police.
Right.
I mean, I'll just yes, there's stuff going on. But like, yeah, I definitely can't talk about it for sure.
Because you hear about the same kind of thing in like Japan. You know, wrestling's really big in Japan, and you hear about the Yakuza and how they kind of run everything in Japan. And I just didn't know if that was kind of the same thing in Mexico or not.
Oh yeah, like it's everything for sure. I'll say this: it hasn't affected me personally and my travels. I want that disclaimer to be said. As far as like, especially if someone's thinking about traveling or if somebody's thinking about doing the wrestling thing. But I know the answer to that question, and I'm not definitely not at liberty to discuss that. Not only before that, but the details don't necessarily concern myself. It's not always personal experiences, you know. I was saying I've been to Guadalajara, which has an association with that, and like the feel is just real nervous. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of stories that come out of that area. But yeah, it's everywhere. But it's everywhere, but it's nowhere. Like this, it hasn't affected me personally in like my day to day life. Besides literally besides just when somebody asks me, it's like, God damn, people have told me stories, but I just can't talk about them, you know?
Right. Yeah. Gotcha.
Well, since we can't talk about that.
I'm sorry, what?
I was going to say, so since we don't want to talk about that, but I do still want to stay on like wrestling, like how, I'm sure you've probably answered this a million times, but one more time, how did you get into that?
Oh, hell yeah. And disclaimer, I do feel comfortable talking about the police if we want to. But yes. I mean, it's funny because everybody's got that like little, dream or whatever thing that they think about doing. Mine was either that or like motocross, but then, you grow up, you get jobs and like yada, yada bullshit. But there was a point in my life, a super successful point where I was like a manager at Jimmy John's, and I'm being half sarcastic. I was doing fine, but like, but my friend, dude, and I moved to another city, but my friend from where I'm at in Newnan, Georgia, he had just started training, and he was like, he's a guy from Mexico, but he trained American style, but he was now going to like some of these lucha libre events and some of the American independent events and like show it to me, and I was like, fuck, that's cool. And I wrestled in high school. So when I get to the place, like none of that really transfers, but like the concept of like, okay, like it is a hard work thing, like for at least learning how to be a professional wrestler is that like once you later on in wrestling, like there's a lot of luck or whatever, or maybe like some people got more charisma, like, but everybody's got to get in there and get their ass kicked and work hard and like start from the bottom. And it kind of reminded me of regular high school wrestling in that manner. Like high school wrestling is one of those things, like it's hard to like, it's not hand-eye coordination. It's not being big and picking up and running a football. Like, yeah, you can grunt people over, but I'd say like 80% of high school wrestling is like technique, and you have to learn it, and it takes a long time. And professional wrestling in a lot of ways was like that. Made me feel comfortable in that way. And yeah, it was a school owned by a guy who's on TV now, AR Fox. He's still the trainer in the WWA 4 in Atlanta. Anybody, especially y'all from South Carolina. So like, it's a really, really close, it ain't really close, but it's one of the best schools in the world to go learn to be a professional wrestler. And I just started there, man. And from there, you get your, one little independent show for fucking $5 or whatever. And then you make a connection, and then you boom, 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 boom. And a lot of it's super independent. There's other There's WWE, there's AEW, which are television programs, and TNA. But especially when you first start, it's just a lot of training and falling on your back and trial and error and just fucking getting after it. It's hard to describe.
Yeah,
it's hard to
Super
describe.
cool. So you're in Mexico
yeah.
right now. Are you there for just traveling, or are you there for like wrestling events?
I'm there for both. This will be like my third month here is basically finishing up. It'll be like a 4 month total thing this time. But it's a mixed thing for sure. I kind of came prepared for nothing crazy to line up in wrestling. Luckily, I've had a lot of wrestling line up, and I've been able to extend the trip a little bit because of wrestling. But I came with a mixed trip, because I mean, if there's one place that's super like ideal for content and wrestling is Mexico, especially Mexico City and the surrounding areas. I'm in Pueblo right now. Mexico, I mean, the money for wrestling is just way better. You can imagine maybe Guatemala or Peru or Ecuador is not paying as much for wrestlers, but there's a thriving big industry for it out here in Mexico. So I'm able to make the most out of it, and also go see pyramids. And wrestling took me to fucking Chetumal and Cozumel and all over through the beaches this weekend. So I'm pretty stoked on it. But yeah, it's a mixed trip. I'm trying to get a lot out of both out here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mexico's good for it.
Yeah. Super cool. Super cool. So you said you're coming up on like 3 months. Are you there on like just like a tourist visa, or do you have like a work visa?
Yeah, I'm on a tourist visa. The visas are funny, man. The visas are funny. Yeah, no, I'm just on a tourist visa.
How long is that?
Okay, so you're legally allowed to. I'm on a 6 month one right now, which is crazy because I didn't ask for it. So I think that's the most they can give you is 6 months, and that's the one where, I mean, my experience, the most recent crossing is I wrestled in Los Angeles and then crossed the border in Tijuana, and was taking a flight from Tijuana back to Mexico City. And at first they want to pass you through. And I was like, no, I need 7 days. And they're just so used to people coming and going from out there. They're like, no, come back tomorrow. I'm like, no, dude, I have a flight that leaves in like 5 hours. Like, I need my new visa. And he's like, oh, fuck. So he brings me over there, and basically just filled out a paperwork, and the guy wrote $180 on it. It was $40, which that $40 is added to your flight when you fly into Mexico anyways. That's why you think you're winning when you get the cheap flight to Tijuana and the cheap flight to Mexico or to San Diego, and then you cross yourself, and then you get the cheap flight to Mexico City, but you still got to pay the border tax. But I've had a couple of different visa experiences, and I mean, I guess it's just who the fuck you're dealing with. So that's the maximum they can give you, but they also should, and or normally do. I don't know what the fucking word for it is, but like one time I came back during this trip, I went to see a friend in New York, and I went from Mexico to New York and came back for a couple of days and came back thinking I was going to get my new visa for this extension to the trip that I got. And I'm like, yeah, I need the one for 180, or for maybe it was just 3 months, whatever. I need the long visa. And he was like, oh, okay, where's your flight? I'm sorry, where's your hotel? And I showed him, and he's like, okay, what about your flight? I was like, oh, well, I have one flight that's a little early, but I'm still planning the trip, and it's refundable. I'm going to get my money back. Like, I'm replanning the trip. I need a longer visa because I'm going to buy a new flight. And he's like, well, no, I'm not giving you a longer visa. You don't have any plan to leave the country. How am I going to give you a visa? And I'm like, I thought it was like 180 days or like whatever. And he's like, that's the longest you can get, but you haven't proven to me anything that you plan on leaving this country. And like, I was kind of talking to him, and like, it was interesting because he got kind of heated. He's like, hey, are you immigrating to this country or not? Like, he said that to me in Spanish. Like, he's like, ¿Tú quieres ser inmigrante aquí? Oh, no. I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, well, this is how the fuck it's going to be. Like, you got to at least show me that you're going to get out of here before I let you in here. And I'm like, well, you know what? That's kind of fair. That's like, Fair enough, whatever. Like, I get it. But then that was earlier. But then, so when I came back, I came super prepared. Super prepared with like the dates for my itinerary, and I'm like, yeah, these are the exact days I need because I'm going back in January. When I came back to CrossFit Tijuana, he almost half wasn't listening. He was just like filling it out as quickly as he possibly could. He's like, yeah, you need the visa. It's here you go. It's 180 days. I don't really need to listen to you right now. Like, here it is. You know. So it's interesting. It's like the person you're dealing with at the same time. So if you do go, you must. If you don't want any bullshit, you got to at least have your flights figured out. If you want that visa.
Yeah, a lot of times they want to see your return ticket as like your proof that you're planning on leaving the country, even if you have like a round trip and then you like cancel your flight. Like,
there was somebody that we were talking about that they had kind of the similar situation where they were trying to cross the border and they just bought a one-way ticket because they were like, oh, I'll come back, and at the border they were like, no.
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, I imagine in a lot of countries it's more like that. I'm just so fucking spoiled American. I'm like, let me in. What the fuck do you mean I have to get a ticket out? Are you kidding me? Yeah. Don't you want me here? Don't you want the last $400 to my name, sir?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny because that guy, I used to have a rule about airports where I speak in English because I speak very, very good Spanish. But my philosophy was like direct conversations, easy topics, no bullshit. Like, because sometimes I might not understand because they get too confident, or like, like, I don't know, like anything that might get complicated, they might not want to get into it in English. You know what I mean? Any like, yeah, let them by, basically type shit. But this guy, I was talking to him in English, and then our conversation got complicated, and I switched to Spanish, and his face almost was like, what the fuck, bro? Like, I guess he didn't like speaking in English. Like, we could have been speaking Spanish this whole time, you fucking dick.
Yeah.
That was why I got him. And after that, he was definitely like, oh, no, dude, you're not. No. So, yeah, it's interesting, man, those visas. But just get your flight out for sure, which is not that much to ask, probably in retrospect.
Right, yeah.
Sorry, there's a fire truck passing by.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, man, it was really good talking to you, and we appreciate you telling us some of your story and some of your adventures.
Dude, thanks for letting me yammer on and jabber. And dude, I'm down to talk about Argentina, Ecuador, Chile, Mexico, anytime, dude. I really enjoy talking to y'all.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, this was great.
Yeah,
we'll definitely have to, schedule something again. Talk about another location.
Yep. Yeah.
No doubt. Let me know when stuff starts to come out. I might even like try to find some old pictures and like maybe like use some audio and like make some projects out of it. Like, who knows? I definitely want to share the stuff or share around that I was talking with you guys at the very least.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
We appreciate that too. And yeah, if you promote it or whatever, and if you have any photos from the trip you want to send to us, we'll put them on our socials and stuff.
Okay, sick. Yeah, I'll dig through my older socials and I'll definitely send them to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right, and so people can find you on YouTube, Instagram.
Yep, Hostel_Bob is YouTube, Instagram, just like we were talking about earlier. And yeah, we can use that for the title as well.
Cool.
It's Hostel_Bob right here.
Yeah, I like your sweatshirt.
Yeah. Do you have merch available, or is that just for you?
Yes. So the merch is this kind of like lucha wear. This kind of replica jacket is available at luchawear.shop.
Mm-hmm.
I got another. Damn, the other hoodie has a better logo from it. luchawear.shop. These are kind of like these are my sponsors. So like I'll use it as a thing to like I'll be like, for example, we just Hostel Bob and TBP pressure washed and fucking Fillmore Garage during this whole podcast. Shout out No Borders Wrestling. So I'll make like basically my whole outfit out of like these sponsor things, and then I also sell them at luchawear.shop. Look up Bobby Flaco and all other kind of luchadors throughout the Southeast. They're a sponsor as well. And yeah, that can ship throughout the United States, throughout the world. The replica hoodies, as well as like any of my older gear, all of my wrestling gear is on there, all of my wrestling merch, all the weird stuff, towels, hats, stuff like that. So that's a big way to support too, for sure. Hostel Bob on YouTube's the travel vlog. That's like the main thing, and the Instagram's growing on Hostel Bob as well too. So we're putting that under the same banner.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool, man.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, you too, man.
Yeah, hit me up with anything, and I'll talk to y'all later, man.
All right, man. You too.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Yep.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas to y'all as well, you and your family.
Yep, you too.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right, everybody, that was our conversation with Hostel Bob, and that is it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can find us on social media, Temporary Locals at Instagram and on Spotify and YouTube. Jared is on Instagram at Rover_Stover and at Rover Stover on YouTube. You can find me, Mego Goes Global, on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. And you can find Hostel Bob on Instagram and YouTube. Just look up Hostel Bob. With that, thank you guys so much for listening.
I'm Jared.
And I'm Megan. Thanks for exploring with us.
And remember, be a local anywhere you go.
Bye.
Motherfucker.